Welcome to Ahead of the Game, a podcast brought to you by the Digital Marketing Institute. I'm your host, Will Francis, and today I'll be talking to Artjana Harnack, a Pinterest marketing expert based in the Netherlands who helps content creators, interior brands and online stores increase their brand awareness, drive traffic and sales using Pinterest. She's the owner of a Pinterest marketing agency in the Netherlands and has worked with well-known Dutch and Belgian brands and has 123,000 Pinterest followers herself with up to 2 million monthly views. Artjana, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
It's great to have you. We've not actually ever talked to a Pinterest expert specifically, so this is a great opportunity to dive into a platform I think we all know is important, but it doesn't just get the limelight, does it, of the kind of big five, if you like, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. And so I'd love to know, really, just to get us started, about your background and how did you become a Pinterest specialist?
Well, I've worked in the interior and bedding industry for almost 20 years. And I was an interior blogger for 10 years. And so interior and online marketing is my middle name, so to say. And then in March 2010, Pinterest went live. And I thought, hey, I saw on Twitter, the people were talking about this new platform. And then I started using it 2 months later. Back then it was on invite only. So I got access to the platform and I was just looking for interior inspiration to write new blog posts. So yeah, interior design and furniture design, it's what makes me happy when I see pictures or the furniture. And
So you basically got really into it on a personal level.
Yeah.
And then at some point realized you could sell that expertise to brands.
Well, I didn't thought about that, but because I was using the platform for myself, for my own website, because I was writing blogs, I saw in my stats in Google Analytics, I saw that I got traffic from Pinterest, and I didn't know what happened or how people came to my website. So I started reading and doing and just figuring out what it is and why people come to my website. And then I noticed that they were saving images from my website to their Pinterest boards.
Yeah.
And back then, my followers every day, I got almost 1,200 followers every day on my profile, new followers. And so I was sharing my own experiences on social media. I did it almost every day. I was talking about Pinterest, sharing my viral pins. And so people started following me, but also brands. And then one day, the owner of a well-known famous brand in the Netherlands asked me, hey, can you help us with Pinterest? Because in the meantime, I have grown my own account with followers and with the reach and the repins and traffic to my website. And then I thought, yeah, why not? Of course I can help. So that's a little bit how it started.
And if it's not a stupid question, what is your typical brief from a company? What are they asking you to do on Pinterest and what are they expecting back from that?
Well, usually they don't know what the platform is all about. They know they have to do something with it because apparently their clients maybe visit their shop or a store and then they say, hey, we saw this type of furniture on Pinterest and we want to buy it.
So they come to you with this general sense of FOMO. They come to you with this general sense that they're missing out on an opportunity. They probably should be doing something with it, but they don't know what. Yeah. And so what is it that you end up actually doing for them physically? Is it putting images? Is there more to it than that?
So I can help with the setup of the account. So adding boards, new pins, but also think about the strategy, the keywords you should use. So everything from the beginning. So you need to set up your profile, and then I can also help to manage the account. Or if they want to do it themselves, I can teach them how to do it. I give coaching or training.
Yes. Yeah. So is Pinterest a search platform or a social platform? You know, in the way that you approach it, does it feel like sort of visual SEO, or is it more like a social media strategy that you're doing there?
No, I'm using a strategy to be found in search. So it's for me, and I think for when you're a marketer or owner of a shop, or you should use Pinterest as a search platform.
Yep.
And of course, you can send messages to each other, or you can add a comment on a pin. But if you want to grow on Pinterest, you should use a strategy to be visible in the search. So it's, for me, number one, it's a visual search engine.
And does it become a significant traffic driver to the website, or is it just about being found on Pinterest and, you know, informing people's early buying decisions there?
Well, in the end, you want to get traffic to your website because maybe you want to sell something or you have something to offer. But to get to that point, you should have an optimized profile, and you should first grow your reach, because if people don't see your content, they cannot engage with it. So that's the first thing you should do to make your content or your products visible on Pinterest with the right keywords. And then first your audience will grow, and the more people see your content, the more people can engage with your content. They can save the content, the pins, or they can go to your website to read more about your business.
And do you find yourself explaining to clients that, you know, Pinterest isn't like Facebook and TikTok and Instagram? It's different. It's not a social platform in the same way. There's not a news feed. It's not something just people open and browse and look at what today's content is. It's more like YouTube or Google. It's a place where people discover content. Do you find yourself having to explain that to people?
All the time. I think 75% of what I'm doing is talk about what the platform is and what it is not, and also expecting what people expect they can get of results in a short time. But no, Pinterest is not for a quick win, or you should use ads to reach a bigger audience. So we talk about expectations and what the platform is all about, and that they should leave their mindset they have on Instagram, for example, leave it on Instagram and leave it on Facebook. So Pinterest is a completely different, it's like Google.
Okay, so if I was an interior brand, right, let's say I was a furniture brand, and all I did was take all of the photos from the Dropbox, right, well, you know, the shared drive or whatever, and just dump them on Pinterest. Would that work? What's missing from that?
But no, you can do it, of course. Nobody says you cannot do it. But if you want to get results, if you want to grow your brand, you should really have a strategy. And with the strategy, I mean, you have to use keywords that are relevant to your business, to your products, to your services. And then you have to have the right images. So Pinterest is a platform where people go to find new inspiration, new ideas. Maybe they don't know what they are looking for at the moment. So they know they want to maybe redecorate their dining room, and you sell furniture like a chair and a table. But maybe people, they don't know, maybe we need a new table. But when you have
I see. So I get it. So if you're selling green sofas, you don't tag everything up as just a picture of a green sofa. You present pictures of nice living rooms, so that when people are mood board in their living room, they see, oh, there's a lovely living room, and I love that green sofa.
Exactly. Yes.
I get it. Okay,
yes.
interesting.
So you can reach I always say you can reach two audiences. You can reach one group that is looking for inspiration, maybe. So you will use broader keywords.
Yeah.
So living room inspiration, or
Yeah.
and the other group is people who are looking for a new green sofa.
Yeah.
And that's a very particular keyword or a search term. So
Yeah.
you can use both. So first, people are looking for new ideas. So,
Yeah.
okay, maybe they are already searching for a green sofa, green velvet sofa.
Yeah.
And when they type that search term in the search bar, then Pinterest will show you all images with green velvet sofa. And then when you see a model, oh, I really like that, you can save the image to your board. And maybe people are, let's say, moving to another home in 6 months, but they're now looking for new furniture. But yeah, then you have people who are maybe decorating next week or in a month. So they are also saving images to their boards. And when they are ready to buy or maybe visit the shop, then they go to that board and then click on the pin. And if the pin is set up in the right way with a link to the original source, then people will come to your website and then they can decide, oh, I want to buy it, or I will visit your shop to first sit on the sofa.
So what I'm getting from you is, if you're selling something, then showing the product specifically is important, but also showing the product in its wider context is also very important.
So people can have an idea how it will look like. So I always say lifestyle images works better on Pinterest. So you have to show your product in the right setting. So of course you can share a white image background with your furniture on it, but people cannot visualize how it would look and how big is the furniture or whatever. So
but back to my original my question about should I just dump my photos? Like, let's say I've got 5 or 10 photos of this green sofa. There's just the sofa, there's the sofa in this living room, that living room. I mean, do I just dump as all the photos I've got, or is it do they compete with each other, and do I need to be more strategic? What kind of advice do you give there? Because my instinct is just to put as much up there as possible to increase my chances of being found. Is that the case or not?
It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but if you sell that green sofa, maybe you sell other furniture. So you should not post, if you have one piece of furniture with a green sofa and you have 5 images, make sure you post it not in one occasion, but different days, also on different boards. So if you have more furniture or more products, today you will post the green sofa, tomorrow you post that side table, and the day after, or the same day, you will post the dining table, so that you have a various offer with what people see.
So boards are still an important way to categorize content. If I was doing furniture, I'd maybe have a board like living room, kitchen, etc. But I might also have mid-century, heritage, modern minimalist. And so, and what you're saying is the same product might show up in those different boards. It might be a different image of that product, one in a mid-century context and one in a living room board and elsewhere.
You
right,
can
interesting.
have different boards for the same product, and you can use different search terms to add to that product, because maybe that sofa is what you said, a mid-century modern style sofa. You could also have a board with the title mid-century modern furniture. And then
why is that important though? Because
when people go to Pinterest, they go to the search bar and then type in green sofa. Pinterest will show images and people can click on the pin. An image is a pin, so you can click on the pin, and on the right side you see the brand that offer these products.
Yeah.
People, they don't know your brand, but they are looking for your products. So
Yeah.
you as a brand should make your products searchable by adding keywords. And then Pinterest will show the pins with those keywords, and people can save the pins to their boards, but they can also follow the brand or click through the brand's
Yeah.
profile, and
Yeah.
then they see the bigger picture with what they are selling more.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that.
So
Right.
when you start with Pinterest, so everybody could win with Pinterest. I like to say it like that, because if you are maybe a new brand, and you use the right keywords, so people can still see and discover your products. You don't have to be like an IKEA or H&M to be
Yeah.
popular.
I mean, this does remind me a lot of the things we talk about in SEO. You know, in Google SEO.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I'm now thinking, how do you do keyword research for Pinterest? How do you decide what keywords to put in a pin's description text?
Yeah. So when I start with a new client, I always ask them, do you have a list of search terms people are using on Google to find your website? Because I will not just copy paste them on Pinterest, but I can use those Google search terms as an inspiration to look for Pinterest keywords.
Great.
And then I have an idea. Okay, people are searching on those kind of words. Let's see on Pinterest if they are using the same keywords, and then we can integrate them in the content.
And I assume there's no, you know, the way there's lots of tools that can tell you what keywords people use on Google. I assume there's not a tool that can do that for Pinterest directly, right?
No, you have to type in a search term, and without giving an enter, Pinterest will show you suggestions.
Yeah, autocomplete.
Yeah, and then you have also Pinterest Trends. It's a tool where Pinterest shows you trends, worldwide trends, and you can also search for trends in the Benelux or in the UK, Canada, US, and Pinterest will show you what people are searching for at the moment, or what they will be searching for in the future, and those those are actually keywords you can use in your strategy. So
yes,
with trends, you can maybe you can type in living room, and then Pinterest will show you living room ideas or living room furniture, and then you know what to use.
So to take another idea from SEO, there's the keyword research, but then the next thought for some would be, well, what's the competitive landscape? So in SEO, you may well identify a keyword that you would love to rank for, but then if you find out that page 1, 2, 3 are just saturated with massive websites that you're never going to rank above, so you kind of give up on that keyword essentially, right? And you go and look for the more niche keywords where you do have a chance, long tail keywords as they get referred to. Is there some version of that with Pinterest? Or, you know, I would say living room ideas is a massive keyword. Yeah. Can I, as a newcomer, realistically rank for that, or do I just leave that one alone?
Well, you can still use that one because
could I rank for it? I mean, realistically.
Well, not when you add just one pin once a week and don't do the work. But so keywords and images are, I think, the two most important things. So if you use the right keywords, but maybe your image is not inspirational, or they don't tell you what it is, what your product is all about, then Pinterest will not show it. So on Pinterest, when you search, then the results will be images, and with those images you should attract your audience.
What kind of theories do people like yourself have about the algorithm on Pinterest? Does there seem to be, for instance, like you say with images, I mean, Pinterest doesn't know what a good image is, but I'm assuming that it's measuring how many people are clicking on that image when they see it in search results, and if it seems attractive to humans, then it will probably put it towards the top of the search results. Does there seem to be that kind of thing going on?
Yes, and also Pinterest, when you add a new image, a pin with a pin title, a pin description, and you add the URL to your website, then all these components should be relevant to the image. So Pinterest also scan the images on the platform.
No.
And you can also use maybe a text overlay on the image. For example, if you have a blog post with tips about how to find the perfect sofa, then you can use those words on your image as a text overlay and maybe the logo of your brand, and then people can read what your pin is about.
Oh, interesting. So you would encourage that if it's specifically sort of informational content?
Yeah. So for example, I don't sell furniture. I offer services, but I do make my services visual. So I have an image, maybe an office setup image, and then I use my logo and I use words like 10 Pinterest marketing trends to whatever, and then I direct that image to my blog post where I write about Pinterest trends or Pinterest marketing tips.
I was going to ask you about that actually, because I'm in the same boat as you, right? What I do is not a physical product; it's me and my expertise. Have you personally seen examples of businesses, large or small, do well that aren't in the obvious spaces of interior, home, fashion, food?
I would like to say yes, but I think there's still more room for those kind of brands or businesses to use Pinterest and to grow their own brand, because maybe there aren't many of those people using the platform. And one other thing is, Pinterest is also indexed by Google. So if you use the right keywords, then there's a chance that when people search in Google with a certain keyword, then it could happen that your profile or your Pinterest board is shown in the Google results. And maybe your Pinterest board or profile is ranked higher than your own website. And then, okay, people need to click and have an extra click to go to your website. But I did this with a friend of mine. I asked her, could you type in a keyword that's important for my business, type it in Google and type it in Pinterest, just to see where my own profile is ranked. And in Google, it was ranked on number 1, my Pinterest profile. So that could also happen if you put in the work.
Yeah, I am curious. So I don't know if you know, but the sort of traditional social media platforms in recent years have become more and more punishing towards posts with links in. Okay, so if you post an outbound link on LinkedIn or X, or Facebook, somewhere like that, then the algorithm is much less likely to show that post because, of course, that will lose the user to a different website and ultimately, instantly cost money to the platform.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk recently of zero-click content and the importance of marketers understanding they've got to move towards zero-click content that just pleases the viewer there and then in social without trying to drag them off to a website. Okay. To what extent do you think has that ever happened on Pinterest? Does Pinterest seem happy to send traffic off? Does the presence of an outbound link seem to have any effect on a pin, do you think?
Well, yeah. So the best thing about Pinterest is that you can use and should use a link to your blog post or product page or whatever, and you will not get banned or punished or whatever. So that's how the platform works. You have the content, and behind every piece of content is a link URL to the original website. Now and then I will see a very inspirational pin, and maybe it's a recipe or maybe it's a piece of furniture, and then I want to know more about it, and I look for a link, and there's no link.
Yeah.
So it could happen that consumers, so to say, Pinterest users, will upload an image from their mobile to the platform, and of course they don't use keywords or they don't put a link. So, and then it happens that that image, maybe hundreds of people also like the image, and then they will save it to their own board. So it happens that those kind of images maybe go viral, and then you don't know what it's all about, where can you buy it or how. Yeah, but that's why it's important for brands to use the platform and to post their own furniture or products first to the platform, and then people will Pinterest will show your products to people, and people can engage with your content, and then you are certain that your content is shown the right way with the right keywords and with the link to the website.
Yeah.
That's
So your advice is always include the link. There's no penalty for that.
No, exactly.
Yeah, great. Can you upload video to Pinterest?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
And what's your advice on that generally?
Do it. No. Yeah. Just like on the other platforms, Pinterest are also pushing video. So when you scroll in through your Pinterest feed, besides all the static images, and a video starts playing, so that will attract your.
And if I surely if I just take the videos that I was going to use on Reels and TikTok and put them on Pinterest, that might not be the best thing, right? What kind of video is the best thing? I mean, let's start with the basics, the aspect ratio, the length and stuff. But then also, what ideally are we shooting? What's the edit style in that video? Give me a sense of that.
So the most important thing is that you use a vertical image or video, just like you use on TikTok or Instagram Reels or Instagram Stories. So it's the same format also for Pinterest. And people actually watch videos on Pinterest. So yeah, you can start with showing maybe when it's a makeover of your living room, show the end result first, and then after that image you can show what they did to get to the makeover, and what they did to redo the room.
Right. Okay. And should it be short video? Should it be fast-paced edit? Should it be very simple, clean video? Should it be any stickers or on-screen text or because I'm trying to work out, can we repurpose our Reels and TikToks, or is it something very different?
Of course you can repurpose it, and but repurpose your TikTok video or Instagram Reels without the TikTok logo.
Watermark.
So there are free online tools I use for my clients. So for example, when they post an Instagram Reel, then I copy the URL, and then I can download the video without the what's it called? The
watermark.
The watermark of the platform. And then I upload it to Pinterest and add the right keywords and the description. So yeah, you can do that.
Good. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so I think we're building up a picture of what the kind of the plan, the strategy is here. It's setting up the profile, organizing content into boards based on what people are looking for, optimizing pins using keywords, good imagery. Can you tag within images? Can you tag, if there's multiple products, can you tag them?
Yeah, there's a way you can, when you add a new image, a pin, you can tag your, for example, when you have a picture of a nice living room setup
Yeah.
with that green sofa, and you can tag that green sofa by adding a URL in the pin. So, for example, when I write a blog post, I can tag my Pinterest training or my Pinterest setup service in that same pin, and then Pinterest will show the images below the original pin.
Yeah, nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. We'll be doing that. So it sounds fairly straightforward. What do people get wrong? What's the most common mistakes then that companies or professionals make when trying to do Pinterest?
How much time do we have? No. Well, yeah, when they start with Pinterest, usually from experience, I heard that maybe the intern set up the profile and they just do whatever they think they should do. And the intern leaves and the profile is just standing there and doing nothing. But they don't use keywords. They don't add boards that are relevant for the products they sell. And maybe that's what I see a lot. There are brands who use their brand name in there. So they have a campaign and they name the name of the campaign. They put it as a board title. But people don't know your campaign name.
Right.
They are searching for that green sofa or for
it needs
that
to be descriptive.
Yeah. So you have to name the product. You should not make up names or use fantasy names or whatever. People.
Yeah. Because no one's looking for that.
No, right. Yes. Okay, so that's one. And the other one could be they don't claim their website on Pinterest. So when you have a business account, you can claim your domain name, your website on Pinterest. And when you have done that, then Pinterest can measure all the stats around your pins, your boards. You can see what pins are popular or have the most repins or clicks. So it's really important before you add images or content to your profile that you claim your website. That's the first thing you should do.
Good.
When you
do that.
Yeah. What more? They don't. Yeah. So they add images, but they don't use keywords, or they don't add an URL to their pins. They don't regularly add new content to their profile.
So again, right, in my head, if it's a search platform, a discovery platform, you would think in theory, if you just dumped a load of content one day 10 years ago on the platform, and it's good content, it's well organized, well tagged, right, you would think that over time, particularly if people actually click on it in search results, over time, Pinterest would love that content, would love surfacing that content because people are finding it and enjoying it.
Yeah. It's
so what's the benefit to having this kind of calendar of uploading regularly?
That's also one thing I love about Pinterest, that your old content, they can still surface in the search results. So my old blog post where I write about interior design from maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago, they are still found and engaged with, and people still click every day to my website to read my old blogs.
Which is why it's a long-term strategy, right? Just like YouTube, just like SEO, you're going to get something back from this in months and years to come.
Yeah. But if you want to grow your brand, reach more people, then it's important to add new content. And so we have, during the year, we have different seasons. So maybe you sell outside furniture, or you have you offer a garden. You are a gardener. You offer services. Then it's important to use relevant keywords, of course, and then you can add a few months before the summer or spring starts, you can add your content. And then people will find your content by using those keywords. So yeah, you have different seasons, you have different special moments, Mother's Day, Father's Day. If you have products or services around that, you can every year you can create new content. Or when you have a blog post about, for example, Valentine's Day, and okay, Valentine's Day is coming again. Maybe we can optimize our blog post and create new pins to direct to those blog posts. Or we can.
What kind of lead time would you say? So let's say I've got, it's currently the middle of summer. Well, it's towards the end of summer. So I'm thinking about Halloween, okay? End of October.
Yeah.
When would be a good time to post about that?
Now.
Right.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. So in summertime, it's really strange with Pinterest, strange in a good way. But during the summer, people are actually searching for content around the holidays.
I suppose, though, that Pinterest must then in some way reward fresh content, because if it didn't, I just should put up all my Christmas content now and all my Halloween content now, because the sooner I get it on there, the more I'm just going to pick up search traffic over time. So if you're saying that I should actually strategically post through the year, seasonally, then that suggests, I assume, that Pinterest in some way rewards fresher content. Is that true?
Yeah, because Pinterest wants to show the user new, fresh ideas. They don't want to see your idea or your products, the same image over and over again. So it's important to create new content, like you do on Instagram or like you do on your website. It's important to create new content, but it could be new pins for old content. If you don't have time to often write new blog posts, sure, you can create new pins for those old pages. But yeah, you are a brand. You maybe you have a team with marketeers. They should create new content.
The ROI, let's just talk about the ROI. When you do a report back to one of your clients, what are the key metrics, and which single metric do you think is most important to your client?
So, yeah, in the end, we want to sell our products. That's why brands use Pinterest.
Okay.
But to get there, we have to grow our audience and our reach. So when I make a report for my clients, I will add the amount of impressions for 1 month. So I every month I make a new report. So the impressions and what kind of pins have the most saves. That's an important one, because maybe people are saving your image to come back again later, at a later time, because in a year they are moving or they are booking a holiday in next winter or whatever. So the amount of saves and the clicks per pin. And then I usually show a top 5 of the most popular pins with the most impressions, the most saves, and the most clicks to the website.
Nice.
Yeah. And of course, most brands ask me, okay, how can we get more followers? And then I say, that's not the most important metric of stats you should focus on, because by adding inspirational content and putting the right keywords and do it often, then your follower will grow. But of course, I will also add the follower amount.
So you're saying the main thing is it's about being discovered, saved, and clicked on, basically.
Yeah, because the saves, it's where you can see, and you can also see per pin to what boards the pins are saved.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting for brands. So, for example, if people want to buy a new sofa, they have a board with living room ideas or whatever, and maybe it's possible they will move or they will redecorate their living room, and then it's important to see how many people save your pins, because on Pinterest people are making plans for the future, so it's really interesting to see what they are saving to their boards.
Yeah, right, because you can see the names of the boards.
Yeah.
So you might
And
find
also
that people are...
who saved your image, so it's also interesting to see what kind
There's
of
some
people are
interesting
saving.
insight there.
Yeah.
Do you know what you could do with that? You could take all the names of the boards, because you can see the name of the board, right? You can see that Will Francis has added this image to the shabby chic board, and then if loads of people are adding it to a shabby chic board, and you're like, we're not shabby chic, but clearly people who are into shabby chic are adding our sofa, so maybe there's a campaign there, or maybe there's something we've missed. What you could do is you could just copy those, bang them into a Google sheet or something like that, give it to ChatGPT, and have that do a language analysis of all the names of the boards. It could translate from different languages, and it could give you a full report on how people were naming their boards that your pins were getting saved to, so that'd be quite interesting. Well, just on that, as a final topic, what's been the impact of AI on Pinterest? So on the images that people upload, do Pinterest have a policy about uploading AI images? Is there, do you think, a place for AI assisted image creation there? What do you think?
Well, yeah, I see more and more, just like on other platforms like Instagram or on Facebook, more and more images created with AI. And for example, with my own pins, I use Canva, and then they have the word to image feature when you can create your own images. So I only use that to create my pins, and then I will add the text overlay so people can see what content I want to share. But yeah, sometimes it's difficult for people to see what is real and what is not. If you are not an expert in it, you cannot see if it's real or a mock-up. So yeah.
Okay, so it's okay to use AI basically in our image creation for Pinterest currently, you think?
Yeah, but you also should think about what do you want to communicate, because if you are posting images of non-existing products or whatever, then it's maybe annoying for the people who want to buy it or want to use it or whatever.
Of course,
and you should not annoy your audience, of course.
No, I think that's definitely true. I wouldn't create fantastical products.
No.
But with AI, with things like Midjourney, you can show it your existing product and say, put this sofa in a Victorian English living room,
or in the
and it will do it.
Modern, Are you using Pinterest for your
Not
website
professionally, no. And
I'm using it for my brand. And you can also, so you can have a Pinterest account, and if you're also on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, you can communicate or post on Facebook or whatever. I created a board with all my podcast episodes in that board, and all those pins direct people to your podcast episodes, to the different episodes. So you can use it that way. You can also use it maybe when you have a newsletter. Hey, I created this new board with all the episodes. You can visit my Pinterest profile. So then you have eyes on your Pinterest profile, and in the end, people can click to your website to listen to your podcast.
Yeah, that's cool. Right,
and there's still many people like you and me who don't use the platform, but or brands with furniture or whatever kind of products. And there's still if you have great images on your website, and people will find your website through Google, and then they think, hey, this is really a nice blog post I want to read later. Then they can save the image from that blog post to their Pinterest board and come back later to listen or to read more. in a different time. So
I'd not thought about it, in a kind of, in terms of building a personal brand, and I think I will after talking to you.
yeah. And who knows, when you use the keywords that are important for your
Yeah,
business, you will also be shown in Google and maybe
well,
higher
that's
in your
it.
own website. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it will be interesting to see the results of that. I will do it, and I'm going to
Yeah.
let you know. So, what are your top tips that people can do right now after
Yeah.
this episode ends
Yeah.
to instantly improve their Pinterest profiles and their activity there?
Yeah. So when you're using Pinterest for your brand, make sure you have a business account and make sure you claim your website on Pinterest so you get access to Pinterest stats, Pinterest
Great.
statistics. And then make sure what's visible on your website, translate that to add boards to your Pinterest profile. Because when people are on your profile, and they expect to see the same on your website. So if you sell sofas, create a board with all your sofas. And then you should do the keyword research on Pinterest. And when you add new content, make sure they are SEO proof with keywords in. And use vertical images for your pins because they use up the most space and people will get drawn to that image more than when you use a smaller a horizontal image. That are a few of the most important things to do first before you throw all your products and services on Pinterest.
Great. Well, we will do that. I'm going to go away. I've definitely got a few things on my to-do list now.
Great.
So thanks for that, Archana. And before you go, just tell people where they can connect with you, where they can find and connect with you online.
Yeah. So my name is Archana, and that's also the name of my website. I think you will maybe mention it somewhere. Archana.nl is my website name. I'm on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, of course, and on Instagram, sharing tips and experiences that I have as a business owner. So, yeah.
Cool.
Let's
Great
connect.
domain. Great domain name, archana.nl. That's great. Well, look, we'll look you up and connect with you. And thank you so much again for your time. I've really enjoyed talking to you, Archana, and I hope to chat to you again soon.
Yes, thank you too, and good luck with pinning.
Thank you very much. Happy pinning to you too.